Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to see about how to create a password strength finder tool in C Sharp. Basically this is what we will see in every website where it requires a password. So you will enter a password in the field and it will evaluate and give it a score and say whether it's very weak or medium, strong, or very strong. So you give a password, it will rate a score for your password and then gives away the message on the strength of the password, whether it's easy to crack or not. So in this video, we will start with a form application which takes in a password field, that is txt password, and we have a button which sort of evaluates the password score and say as whether it's good to go, and we display the message here. So if it's good to go, yeah, the password is good enough, very strong enough, so on. So that's the idea for this video. So let's get started. Let me go ahead and add a event handler for this set button. Yeah. So if I don't type anything in the text box, I won't have to do anything here. So in that case, I'm just handling this thing so that we don't call the code every time when there is no text. So text.password is equal to string.empty return. Don't do anything if there is nothing in the text box. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a password validator class which is responsible for evaluating the given password and saying whether it's good enough. So password validator. So go create this class in a new file, generate type. So we got this class ready. So let's add the code that's necessary for this event handler itself. So what I would want is I would have some message here, and I will call the password validator class. Let me say is strong. So whether the password we are giving is strong enough, and I would handle both the cases by displaying the appropriate message here. So if it is strong, so what's the parameter we are going to give? Only two things, just the password, so which is text password dot text, and we kind of get a boolean value out of this. That's why we placed it in if condition, and we want some additional information if appropriate. So we will have an out message here so that we get the text message in addition to this boolean thing. So the next thing would be uh, just fill in the message in the label. So if something is not there in the message, I would just say password strong enough and good to go. It means that we don't add any more messages that's useful for the end user. So we just say, yeah, password strong enough, good to go. And if we have some message from the method, which means the password can still be improved, we just display the message. And if it's an error message and we think that the password is not strong enough, we still want to display what the error message is. So the part of the whole form class event handler is handled here, and we can just go ahead and add this eStrong method so that we can actually start reading the code that validates your password and give it a score. So we have this method ready without any content inside it, so we need to add it. The first thing we will do is to define a measure for a password strength, and typically based on certain conditions. So let me create a password strength enum that does its job. So what I'm going to add here is I want to check the uppercase character, whether it has a lowercase character or whether it has a symbol in it which is special character, whether it has a digit in it, and whether it has whether it meets the length requirement, and whether it's not there in some common list of passwords. If you search the Google, you will have like a search common password list. You will get a million password list. That's what we are going to use in this video. So there could be multiple implementation to get the password score strength, but we are going to do what we are going to do is we are going to give high weight to not common. That's it shouldn't be in any common list, and we are going to give another equivalent for this other five components. Like sort of say we have a score of 100, we will give this not common as 50, so that we know it's highly weight more important, and we sort of divide this other 50 with this five constraints like uppercase or lowercase. And if we divide the 50 by 5, we are going to give it a 10, but since it's a enum and I want every individual value uh, to be different, I am going to give a value that's around 10. Like say if I give uppercase as 10, I would give lowercase as 9, and I would give uppercase symbol as 11, and I would give digit as 8, and length as 12. So if you see and make the sum of all of this, you would get a 50, and not common another 50. It would mean that whole thing sums up to 100. So that's how we have assigned the strength. There are other better ways to do it, but this in this video this suits the purpose and it's good enough. So what we are going to need is a way to store whether the password given has satisfied this constraint or not. For that I'm going to use the dictionary password strength, and we are going to say boolean, and we are going to name it as conditions, whether these conditions are satisfied or not. Let me initialize the conditions. Now we can go ahead and write strong method content. So we are going to get this password here, and we are going to evaluate whether it satisfies all the conditions we expect it to satisfy, and we give it a score based on that. So let's add this. First I am initializing the out variable. Message is something like string.empty. Then I would be setting the password strength. Like I'm going to evaluate the password against each of the constraint. So I would give add a method password strengths and give in the password. Since this class has a conditions dictionary, we will be clearing it out every time and then fill it again, so that it's reused every instead of creating a new dictionary every time we enter a password. Let me go ahead and add this method. So like I said, I'm going to reuse this condition, so conditions.clear. So again, there are multiple ways to do it. You could use if else conditions, and not I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another method. So what this would take is password strength, whether that's the constraint, uppercase, lowercase, digit, and a boolean variable denoting whether that condition is satisfied or not. we would just simply set particular key to the boolean variable. Next, I'm going to just make a sequence of this method call one by one while evaluating all the individual conditions like uppercase, lowercase, digit, length, and so on and so forth. So let me call this. So first thing I'm going to evaluate is the length. Since I have the password in hand, I'm going to check whether the length is greater than 8. So you can see what's happening here. If we are going sending in the password value length, password strength value length, and we are sending the boolean variable, and the evaluation kind of happens before the method call. And when the control goes to here, we are just setting that particular strength, that is the length, and the corresponding boolean variable. So if the password is greater than password length is greater than 8, it would say true, otherwise it will return false. So that we would fill in each and every individual conditions just like this uh, for evaluating individual constraints. So let me go ahead and make a copy of this. So I think it's 6 in number, so it's good enough. So the next constraint we're going to see is uppercase. So we have a password, a string in hand. We could make use of any method which comes under link. So this is part of link queue. So what this method allows us to do is we can make use of some boolean method that gets called against each and every character in the string, and if one of them satisfies, it would return true. If none of them satisfied, it will return false. In this case, we'll use a method group here is upper. So what's happening here is, let's say we have a 10 character password string. In each, it would pass each and every character in the string to this is upper method in character class, and thereby it would evaluate like 10 true or false. We will have 10 true or false. If one of them is true, we will get the whole answer as true. If none of them is true, you will get the whole answer as false. So this is how it works, and this is the syntax of method grouping, which C# allows. So what we have to do is do the same for everything else. Lowercase password dot any is slower. So that's good enough. We already have filled 3 constraints, and now let us fill the remaining ones. Symbols, this is quite different. I initially thought of adding like a character dot is symbol and get it done with, but I found that it doesn't work for all the symbols, and it depends on many other things. So in order to keep this simple, I would just use the normal lambda expression. I would just check whether this is not a letter or a digit, so that you you could say it is a symbol. So the negation of letter or a digit, that condition means it's a symbol. So let's go with the next one, whether it's a digit. So you will use the method group syntax itself, and we have a method for that in char uh, is digit. We are good to go. And final thing is not common. So here we are going to write another method that would say whether it's in the common list or not. So let me add this method password exists and give in the password. So what we are going to do is we are going to search and get a password common password list. We would get many in the Google search and it's for a start we can go with a million password list. So let me go ahead and add this here. You can do the Google search and download the same. I'm going to add this to this project. So go ahead and add existing items, choose all files. This choose this text message. As you could see, it has a combination of passwords that are commonly used: football, monkey, let me in, uh, killer, so on and so forth. So let's get at this. And what we have to add here is you need to do this copy if newer, so that when you run this code, it goes to the binary directory instead of you manually copying it. So what we are going to do is just read the file, all the lines of inside the file. So I am going to use file class. Let me add the namespace and then add read lines. So we want to iterate it and given the file name. So what this returns is an enumerable string. So we have to add the variable as such, enumerable string. So we have got all the lines in the file, at least the enumerable enumerator for those lines. And if we give the same in a for each loop, it would kind of read one line at a time and check against a constraint. So let's add a for each loop, string line in lines. We want to check whether the password we have is equal to the line. So this way we compare against each and every line the password in it, and we could say whether the password actually exists in the common list or not. That's actually good enough. So if it doesn't return anything, it could return false. So whether password exists in the file or password doesn't exist in the file, it's boolean. So we could actually fill in the not common password strength entry. Now that we have evaluated the password against the constraint, we can go ahead and give a score for each of these. So I am adding a method, check password score. Let me just add a reference variable as message, so that if I pass in the this variable inside this, so whatever changes happen within the method gets reflected in this message when it goes outside the method. Let me add a variable here which is password score and initialize it as 0. The first thing we are going to do is iterate over all the conditions that we filled in this strength set password strength, and if it is positive we are going to add the key value, which is an actual integer we have set to this enum. So let's go ahead and do that. The purpose we just added value to each and every entry in the enum is to form this password score out of 100. So let me add a for each loop and var strength, which is a key value in this case, as it is a dictionary. You can see we will get a key value pair of password strength and boolean. So if password strength is met, that is if it's having a uppercase character or lowercase character if it's not in the password list. So we are going to add the corresponding value to the password score. Strength.key. Oh. So in this case, it's enum. You need to typecast it to integer so that it would take the value that we set in that particular enum, like 10 or 12 or 8 or something. So now we have the password score. We need to fill in the message uh, so that user can correct if it's not appropriate password, or we could say the password is strong enough, like that. So it's important to divide into multiple category. I'm going to settle with a simple if else thing. If the password score is less than 50, it typically means that the password is in the common list. So since we have allocated a weightage of 50 to the common list, it means if it's less than 50, it's going to be the reason for the error message. So the password is in the common list. So let's add an appropriate error message and return false. So password is in the common list, probably easy to crack. So go ahead and change it. So next category I'm going to add is 50 to 60. If let me add greater than or equal to 50 so that we don't leave out any edge conditions. So for this range, I'm going to say password is very big. Let me go ahead and fill in the remaining conditions. We have added a if condition for each range we prefer. So 50 to 60 it is very weak, 60 to 70 it's weak, and then it goes to medium, and then it's strong. If you see this, I have allowed the strong password to go ahead and just avoided the lower strength passwords. So in addition, but when we allow the stronger password, we want the user to know still something can be done. Like we can do uppercase character adding or a lowercase character adding, or we can match the length, or so on and so forth. So we could say the user that you could actually do few more improvements. So we are going to add a method additional suggestion to all of these if conditions so that user is aware what to do about the password, what just giving suggestions like you can add uppercase character or lowercase character, add a number, string, the special character, so on and so forth. So let's make the change. And one thing you need to make clear, view this clearly, is that I have made the last condition 80 to 92. Why I have done this is to match the password strength score we have given, and the lowest score we could actually get is 8. That means 100 minus 8 is 92, which means if I didn't satisfy this one condition and I have satisfied everything else, I'm going to get 92, and I'm going to consider that strong enough and allow the user to continue. But I'm going to give this digit as a suggestion in additional suggestion method. So that's the idea behind giving this range as 80 to 92. So let me go ahead and add the additional suggestion method. For this, I am going to add another dictionary suggestions for each password strength. So it's going to have basically the message to the user to make the correction on the password. So let me just fill this real quick. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to add here. Like for uppercase, add uppercase, lowercase, add lowercase. For not common, the password is in the common list. Try a complicated password. So this make sure the user knows what to do when we kind of reject his password. So let's go ahead and add the additional suggestion method. Let's add in the last private string. So we are going to check whether the particular value in the conditions dictionary is false for each of the entry, so that we know that particular constraint is not met. So if the condition is not met, we are going to add the additional suggestion by taking in the particular entry from that suggestion dictionary. So let's add a new line character and then access the suggestion dictionary by its key, which is the password strength enum. So there you go. So if uppercase is not met, we would get access the uppercase by its key, and finally kind of get this value in the additional suggestion. So it goes for everything else as well. So thereby, instead of blankly rejecting a user password, we will also give suggestion on what to do so that his password will be accepted. So next thing we want to do is just add it in the message for each and every condition. So I guess we are done with this code. Now it's time to test. So let's see if any error pops up. Okay, I kind of missed to initialize this. Yeah, we are good to go. So we have this in place. One thing I can add is if I press enter, I want this button to be clicked so that I can just type it, press enter, it would return the message. So it's just a convenience thing for testing. It's just you need to select that particular button and do a perform click. This would actually click the button for you so that it goes to the password validator class and it would give the message out. So we could go ahead and start with the dolphin as a password and click enter. It would straight away say password is in the common list, probably easy to crack. Yeah, it's good enough. So let's go ahead and add a number to this and press enter. It's still saying the message. So let's add a uppercase character A. So now the command list error goes away, but it's detecting that password is strong and kind of asking me to add a special character. In this case, I would add at symbol, and it's saying password is strong. And I think we have missed. Have we missed anything? I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, well, if you give this, it's still strong. I am not seeing it going to very strong. So let's see what happens in the code, what score it's getting. Let's place a breakpoint here and then let's click this. The score is exactly 92. It's kind of the edge condition. So what we want to check is whether the condition has been fulfilled. Okay, I think I have forgotten to add each digit condition check. Oh, okay. I found the error. So I have added password length here also. It should be digit. Buggy bug. So now I guess it should work fine. Let's add sunset. It's in the common list. So let's add a number, or let's add a sunset queue. This would, I think, remove from the bus common list. But it would say it's very weak because only lowercase characters are used. So let's go ahead and add uppercase character. You could see now it's changed to weak, and it's saying the remaining three things other than the uppercase. Let's add a special character at. This would kind of take everything, and it meets the constraint of minimum 8 characters. So now it's expecting the number alone. So let's add 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the password is good enough and strong to go. So this is how you score a given password and kind of change the message accordingly to the user, and allow the user to act upon the suggestion if the password is weak, or if the password is strong enough, it's good to go. So this is all I had for this video. I will come again with another video some other day. Until then, goodbye. Please like this video if you find this helpful, and share it to your friends, and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Thank you.